Well, hello everybody. This is a powerful video. All the nation leaders are tagged in this video of the P5. It's time to address President Joe Biden, Prime Minister Boris Johnson, President Emmanuel Macron, President Vladimir Putin, President Xi Jinping. I couldn't tag Vladimir Putin. Facebook has removed his account, but RT News still exists. Brian McDonald will see that forward, as those individuals both gave me two Russian world-class experts. I'm the only North American to have two Russian constitutional experts, one of which is a master of linguistics, and also a master of physics, which is another platform we're going to get into when I establish my party. This is huge. It's breaking news. It's time to put all the bullshit to rest. We're going to talk about Canada, the absolute corruption of Justin Trudeau, Candice Bergen, that's the CPC, many of the MPs, along with all the Liberals, most of the Conservatives, if not all your federal elected. Jagmeet Singh, the entirety of all the MPs for the NDP. NDP has been the strongest propagandist. The most patheticism I've seen is from Magazine, Guardian, National Post, all the Liberal, Conservative embedments with the UK Crown. That's all been there. But we're going to talk Turkey. We're going to talk what's absolute law and what is absolute bullshit and propaganda. To begin with, we're going to talk about dead Canadians in Ukraine today. You're not going to hear about it. Do you want to know why? Canadians, you don't get to hear about it? Because the UN Convention on Mercenaries, 2001. Guess who created this international law? And guess how many people signed on to it? 25% of UN states. The Red Cross, the League of Nations, customary international law, you can take that and shove it right where the sun don't shine, because it is literally ass wipe. Propaganda from a League of Nations system that no longer exists today is not ratified anywhere in the UN, none whatsoever. And absolutely, as I tag all 5 P5 allies, permanent members of the Security Council, all 5 rejected the UN Convention on the Use and Legality of Mercenaries. You can read it, folks. It's right here in the title. Before that, I would ask again, every one of you watching, read the YouTube, watch it and listen to it, or read it to you. Read along as it goes through my paper, The Nature of International Law as It Really Is. It went to Oxford. It went entirely to the P5. It went to many great minds. In fact, folks, a little over a year ago today, I was live with China, invited to the Africa-China Symposium. Yes, with Communist China, the party. I was there live, honored, an entire paper written on just a small portion of Africa and China's international law history. A time when the Swahili coast in China had more than a 1,500-year deal in international law, maritime law, and much more. Kept from the West, recorded. I got all of that written in a detailed paper in English for me from the Communist Party of China, from a terrific Chinese academic who is one of my international law experts from China. I only have one. One is better than none. I have done some unbelievable things. ready to go for Canada anytime it wants. These are just 2 Russian experts, 1 Chinese expert, along with now over 162 world-class experts for constitutionalism. Many from the United States, many from the UK, many from Africa and the 52 nations of Africa. Lots of people would love to help Canada out of the predicament they're in, the growing frustration with the Crown a lot of you have. This video is absolutely the law on mercenaries. Crafted, put forward by Ukraine, signed by Ukraine and everybody. Not one P5 member signed it. Neither did the country of Canada. Neither did the country of Canada. Completely non-binding law. And further, not only is it a garbage can agreement in the UN, the Red Cross that they call customary international law is from the League of Nations. It doesn't amount to a hill of beans since World War II. Has not been signed, ratified by the labeled and listed P5 allies. What Justin Trudeau, Candice Bergen, Jagmeet Singh, Yves Blanchette, all their elected MPs did over the course of the last 2 weeks was illegal in international law. Canada is no stranger to gross violations of international law. If you read my paper, you will see I even do just not to offend any other UN states, because the law of sovereignty doesn't give me that right, but it gave me the right as a UN citizen in the UN state called Canada to use my country. And you can all grab any country you want and put them in that formula for all of you. If you haven't read the paper, it's real, it's credible, verifiable. It was entered into Oxford. It's been read by the greatest legal minds in many, many countries around the world, taken to heart by a lot of countries that didn't have that perspective. No individual citizens ever brought that forward, let alone bring it forward to the UNSCP5. I've done monumental works, whether people like that or not. But the reality is, Canada's propagated media sent Ukrainian Canadians to Canada, got them all sent out there on the fact that they will be treated as mercenaries, which there is no law, no protections for any mercenary from any foreign country entering a conflict zone, let alone a conflict zone of a UNSCP5 member since World War II. Boris Johnson is not crossing the lines. The United States of America is not crossing the lines. You will find radical rogue regime states who all suffer the same mathematical error that Canada does. You will find check marks, their weight in mathematical formula, and you will find that other colonials flubbed up and their citizens are dead. Not to be commemorated, not to get any kind of special status, none whatsoever. In fact, the absence of such. You go there, Canadians, you end up gone. No one has to repatriate you. Your body doesn't even have to be returned. In fact, your own country won't even register if they don't want to, if it doesn't fit their narrative. Because I can tell you right now, there's dead Canadians in Ukraine. That's a fact. Russia's got it logged. People can say it's bullshit. The reality is it's true. Canada can't release any of the information. It's not the first time I've stated this before. But remember, folks, Canadians entered in gross violation of binding international law. That's what I deal in. I don't deal in all the other crap. The crap, which is real crap, that's outside of the P5 or a 2/3 UN resolution passed by the General Assembly, at which time not one UNSCP5 member issued a veto. And guess what, folks? Not a one voted for Ukraine's law of mercenaries, and most of the free world and many other communist countries didn't sign on. Mostly European states, and guess what they all suffer from? gross error in international law, they fail the formula. You see it. Portugal, Denmark, read my paper. Canada, all the same issues. The inability to follow international law. Our countries are corrupt, run in systems that are no longer viable or legal anymore worldwide. Canada has the largest amount of mercenaries in Russia, and they are mercenaries with zero international binding laws to protect them. They go there less than a human being. And Canada's not going to tell you about it. Denmark's released theirs, Portugal's released theirs, other countries are, but not Canada. And Russia's very angry with Canada. Canada's been completely outrageous, over the top, way outside the realm of what Canada's capable of doing. There is no international law to protect Canada. USA took a step back. The American military said, whoa, wait a minute, we're not doing this. Canada said, we don't care. UK says, do this, we're going to do it. We have the Observer, the Guardian, the National Post, Financial Post, all this propaganda. Now Maclean's NDP clearly, under Jagmeet Singh, shows his corruption. The worst state the New Democrat Party's ever been in, an absence of labor. They want to rewrite a new path forward economically for Canada and the world, a new system without the allies of World War II, who just 3 of them can destroy Canada in less than 15 minutes, could wipe Canada right out in less than 15 minutes. Any one of 3. That's a fact, folks. One of the 4th could run their tanks from Alberta, the Western Army, can run their tanks right through Calgary, Edmonton, level it to dust. That's what the UK could do tomorrow. The Western Army, the baddest, the amount of firepower UK holds just in Alberta. If you've never looked that up, go check it out. Never is there any country with that kind of foreign military might sitting there in their sub-regions. Only in Canada. You're not going to hear any status of any Canadians because you're not privy to it. You violated a commitment. You went with Ukraine. I'm going to tell you something about Ukraine and its international laws. If that disturbs you, that Ukraine had a mercenary law attempted to be passed and couldn't get it passed, this should disturb you more. Ukraine has 0 human rights laws bound entirely. They've never signed any of them, folks. Go look at it. You talk about world unity. They talk about having peace and security, sovereignty, all of it. Ukraine has never signed any of those binding world laws. Russia's signed all of them. In fact, created a bunch of them. When you look at dictators and you don't like government systems, one must look at what is your track record in international law, what's important to you and the people that you govern. Well, I can tell you all this, Canadian folks, whether you like it or not, and I am a world expert on this. I've proved my mettle and merit many times over the last 3 years, including the great works, The Nature of International Law as it really is. A great works, well received worldwide in academia. I didn't win any awards and I may not have won that round of papers, but the greatest minds in the world read it, and more than that, the world powers that run this world today have read it, accepted it, and I've been given my spot in this lowly world. People try to come accuse me of who funds you, who pays you. I'm the poorest Canadian to ever run for premier in Canadian history. By far, I hold the record for being the poorest average Joe Jane. In fact, I'm the only average Joe Jane to run a majority cast in any election in Canadian history. It's always been the first class, never led or run, founded, crafted by a third-class citizen with very little, almost nothing. Just mind, matter, and the will of the people behind me. That's all I've ever had. I have nothing to hide or run from. I'm clearly one of the most poorest of the third class when you average out what people are worth here in Canada and debt to asset value, the rest of it, at my age category, definitely in the lower percentile. There's no record of me ever receiving any funds. I've worked hard my whole life. Fear of the truth, fear of learning what is versus what isn't, fear of dealing with the propaganda that's right in front of you. Ukraine, as stated, is a garbage country. I don't know what the narrative, except for to bolster the UK, which again, I'm going to state, everybody, they're all tagged here. They're all going to get it. Not directly the presidents, but those in their administrations will. The prime ministers, those in their administrations will. You can look at Canada's decisions. You can look at those P5 and they have not a leg to stand on against Russia. That's reality. And there is no UN state that's going to come forward and change the fate of what's going to happen to Ukraine. It was ruled. Follow the path set before you. The UNSC resoundingly, in majority, told Ukraine. Minsk agreements. Russia gave many, many years to get this done, and it's come to a full head. We don't expand. None of the allies are allowed to expand outside of their historical boundaries. What George H. Bush did to Russia when they fell as the Soviet Union and gave away their territories at will was wrong. Was wrong. It breached international law, and Russia is going forward in international law. USA steps back. Even Joe Biden knows, do I follow George H. Bush? Do I declare World War III? Do I dissolve USA's P5 power? This also dissolves Britain's power. It dissolves France's power. It dissolves China's power. What does that do? It basically is a free-for-all for every nation in the world, that there is no international laws binding, meaning you can invade any country you wish. I can tell you there is a Greek territory that will get invaded by Turkey tomorrow, and they will win. They'll take it back. There's Catalan in Spain. There's everywhere, all over Europe, all over Africa, all over Southeast Asia, South America, every continent in the world. First Peoples in Canada should be afraid. The Aborigines of Australia should be afraid. The First Peoples of Iceland, Greenland should be afraid. It's scary. It's scary what the world could dissolve into tomorrow. And I promise you, USA will never embark on that road. China, no, doesn't want to embark on that road. Russia doesn't want to embark on that road. UK, France want to embark on that road. As sad as that is, at least for sure the UK does, underneath the narrative of the royal family. We can never bring back the crown, as bad as it is today, in the Commonwealth as it is today, and in slow progress there. Corruption of American presidents who for a long time swore that they would deliver. And all the way to 1952, they were delivering. So was the Soviet Union. China's come on board. They're getting stronger every day. Decolonization must happen worldwide. We can't go back to the League of Nations. We can't do it. We can't do it. People who think the UN is broken, sure. Sub-organs of the UNSCP5 are broken. International law is not even understood or accepted by a vast majority of former colonial countries. By a vast majority. Canada breaches international law 75% of the time. Your average Canadian has no clue what the legal rules are out in the real world. We're dictated to by League of Nations narratives that are completely false and completely against the Allies of World War II. You're basically saying, I want to pee all over my ancestors who fought and died for my freedoms in World War II. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing when you go with narratives of propaganda. Are there propagandas from every which way and every side? Yes. I give this paper as something for a tool for the average Joe Jane. It's for every member of the world community. Read it, use it for your country. Look at it for what it is. Grade your country. How well does your country do? You will find it works, and it shows you just how vulnerable the people of those countries in those gross attachments are to violating international law and making the world a worse place. That's a fact. We are never to be NWO. That is the existence of the Allies P5. It's why we see different narratives, different value supply chains, and constant competition to keep monopolies gone, to keep freedom alive for everybody. Even Russia and China understand this. Historically, they have made that happen for many countries. So is USA. USA has been a terrific hero in the world, believe it or not. Are there flaws of all the countries? Absolutely there are. I know right now we need to see another amendment to the American Constitution, the presidential executive power. We clearly see you can't trust presidents anymore to follow the Constitution or honor those founding fathers who drafted it, and it was passed for all the American people. Constitutionalism is key architecture of both Russians and Americans. Believe it or not, folks, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. Whether you believe it or not, whether you've been lied to your whole life or not, I can't change those things. I can only tell you what is as it really is. And so many believe whatever they're told by our media. I can tell you clearly, Canadians have been lied to many times by the government, by every armed conflict we've ever been in. Many Canadians have died, and we've never found out the truth until sometimes years and many years after the fact. Huge examples, even just recent times. Go look at the Afghan war and the 2 Canadian soldiers who were not even disclosed for 2 years' time. This is an attack on USA. I'm going to say it again. The P5 in international law don't murder. They execute. They kill. And they have the power to do that. If you're caught in their crosshairs or you're inside their conflict zones, there are no repercussions for an ally killing your people. I'm sorry, not a P5 member. It's never happened. It's never going to happen. They execute whenever they want. They kill whenever they want in armed conflicts. And there is no way to go back and get any kind of repatriation at all. Always be vigilant. Always be careful. Never follow mercenary systems, especially ones sponsored by Ukraine. It was a travesty that Trudeau, the official opposition under Candace Bergen, Pierre-Paul Aver never said a word either, because he's in it too. Jagmeet Singh, who supports it more than anybody else, has Maclean's writing feverishly, night and day. Again, I'm going to say all, The Guardian, The Observer, National Post, Financial Post, CBC, the government state media, have all lied to you all and have murdered Canadians, sent Canadians to their death, or life worse than death. You won't be repatriated. You may never even be heard from again. You could be MIA forever. It's likely Russia's going to release this data. They will release, and they're going to show you in international law. We told you we were going to execute them. They've already stated they're going to kill every Canadian mercenary. They're calling them mercenary. What are you going to do, Canada? What are you going to do? Are you going to go stomp Russia because USA's not going to help you? UK can tell you everything you want to hear. At the end of the day, they're not going to help you. They're using their crown power in international relations. They're using the Commonwealth Charter of 2012 to get your politicians working for them. Because if your politicians want to keep the autocratic crown customary law power that's ruled illegal in this world today, they need that UNSC UK P5 member to make that happen. France backs them up too. At some point here, it's going to be called a day. And here's another thing for you folks. Germany is never going to cancel their Russian contracts that they have now in gas. They did one action. They canceled Nord Stream 2. That's as far as they're going to go. Because Germany will never brutalize their people. The Chancellor cannot go any further. Now they're going to the old Chancellor to barter some kind of deal. Ukraine is corrupt beyond all measure. It has zero binding human rights laws, none whatsoever. Canadians, you value that, you say, beyond all measure. Why are you in bed with a state with zero of them? Zero of them. A state that advertises for you with your media, the UK, to go send Canadian mercenaries over there, not protected in any international law whatsoever. USA pulled out and said, you go in there, you're dead. And whatever happens to those people, it's on you, Canada. Trudeau puts a little sideline on the federal website of Canada. Don't go over there. They might classify you as a mercenary. It's Ukraine. Just like Indigenous law passed here, UNDRIP in Canada, the world has shot it down, but Canada forces on Canadians. That is the same thing Ukraine did with mercenaries. Not applicable to Canada. Canada refused to sign it. All those Canadians go there to die and are not going to be repatriated. Not if Ukraine doesn't want to. That law doesn't apply to Canada. All the Canadians will lose their lives and you'll never hear from them again. Or they're prisoners of war and they can be tortured for the rest of their lives and nobody has to tell you about it. It's not an international binding law. There's no covenant, no convention, no nothing. It's the worst move that could ever be done. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen. I wish I had 1 million followers. I don't. I wish I could have saved lives. I can't. There are going to be a lot of families, at least 1,000 families plus in Canada, that are eventually going to go, where's my son? Where's my husband? Where's my father? Where's my uncle? Where's my brother? And no one's going to know. Not unless Russia tells you. Ukraine certainly won't. Never get into bed. And this is for Ukrainian Canadians, especially those like my family who were original settlers, who were never part of the Soviet, never part of the international law process of that time. You just don't know any better. What runs Ukraine, and has been running Ukraine for a long time during its independence, is evil. They've signed no international binding laws on human liberty, human life, the basic concepts of the UN. Ukraine refuses. That regime refuses all regimes. They have crafted their own laws, so they know. They just refuse to give basic human rights, human dignity, any real value of life. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to tell you this. If you can't read it, go read it. You're going to find out Ukraine went like this. That's not the same for Russia. I'm sorry. Which evil's worse? I look at people's track record. Isn't that what we do? Isn't that what you all want to hear? The truth? Wouldn't you like to know what is the truth? Because I promise you the American military agrees with me. They've already held back. Joe Biden isn't going to put it through. He's not going to. He won't violate that which is most sacred to the United States of America. He would love to. He's going for populism. His poll numbers have moved up. Is it enough to win the midterms? No, not even close. He's screwed. Declaration of World War III isn't going to help. Right now, Joe Biden is trying to make a deal with OPEC. And guess what OPEC's doing? Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates. And guess what OPEC's doing? Saudi Arabia, United. That's what they're doing. They're saying, I'm sorry. Fuck you, Joe Biden. And the horse you rode in on. You fucked up. Now Joe Biden's going, okay, let's push Germany. Let's get Germany to cancel all natural gas and buy it from USA. Meaning, let's ship it across the seas as LNG on big ships, massive cost, 10 times the cost to the German people. Germany's like, whoa, no. We can stop growth for Nord Stream 2, but we're not going to destroy our people. Now Joe Biden goes to an old chancellor. Joe Biden screwed everybody. Come November, Joe Biden's gone. He's going to be fired. The American people are going to throw his ass out of office. Over 50% of Democrats no longer support Joe Biden. 50%. You're going to watch House flip. Likely Senate's going to flip too, just in the midterms. By February of 2023, you're going to see Republicans holding House and Senate and a very much weakened Joe Biden. Desperate with his executive powers, we'll see how far he's willing to go. I think at that point, most of the administration will abandon him, and the floundering Joe Biden will be left holding the bag. This isn't going to be the same for Canada. The propaganda is intense. Canadians love Justin Trudeau beyond all measure. It's unbelievable. Upwards of 90% of Canadians completely support Joe Biden. It's sad, it's sick, it's depraved. Not out west, but the votes don't matter anyway. The unequal weight of Western Canadians, specifically Alberta being the lowest, will not hold any weight to change anything. I just tell the truth. I don't give Liberal, Conservative, NDP, Bloc, Green, or any other narratives, because until any Canadian federal politician comes forward stating that they intend to dismember the Constitution and give the power back to the people, until I see that, or see any regional government wanting to bring forward for the first time in Canadian history regional constitutionalism as called for in 1867, but never been done ever. Until then, I don't support any of them. I don't care what your narrative is. If you don't have real constitutionalism, I don't want to hear about conventions of a key group of people who don't know what the fuck they're even talking about. They don't know anything they've studied. I've done massive works on this, more than competency at a high caliber. I'm way up there in the top with doctorates. I'm an economist. That's a terrific jump. And I've been all over the world recognized. And I would never have the gall to write a constitution on behalf of almost 40 million Canadians and First Peoples in Canada. I never would even undertake that. But I would bring in conventions across all of Canada, in every community, every reserve, unceded, ceded, and the Arctic, every Canadian will be reached by the world's greatest experts in absolutely every minority language used in Canada, chosen by those participants, you, the Canadian citizen, First Peoples over the age of 18. In every first-person language, even those that no longer exist in Canada, but are logged and saved in the United States of America. We have all those too. That's what I would deliver, and I would let you, the people, in real conventions across Canada, and until someone's talking about that regionally and federally, or one or the other at least. I'm not down with it. I'm not down with lying, and I'm not down with how Canada operates anymore. Giving away your sovereignty is absolutely a direct violation of the binding world document, the UN Charter 1945. Read it. You will learn about independence, state integrity, and the law of sovereignty, the highest law in the world. There is no NWO in the P5. That is a rogue UN state status. Countries like Ukraine, Canada, Islamic states, the list goes on and on. It's not to pick on anybody. I can pick any, even Israel. I can show you how so many countries can't function in international law. There was an education to be done after World War II. It's right in the charter of the UN, where every state was obliged to put it in the education system. I know no Canadian has ever got that education, because I certainly didn't. I had to find it on my own. I had to use this and go get it myself. An unbelievable task. A task that I share with every Canadian. But it's not popular. Nobody wants to hear it. Hey, I don't want to know about World War II. The biggest fight for freedom against the colonial powers the world had ever seen. A new page of history. And it worked well to what, 1973? Now there's all these fake narratives about, oh, the world doesn't work right anymore. Because it's corrupted, folks. Because it's corrupted like conflicts like Russia and Ukraine right now, where the territorial integrity of Ukraine was never theirs to have, not from that river onward. And they had a chance out. Russia gave them a legal path out. And the world voted for it. The UNSC, all of them voted for it, called the Minsk Agreements, recertified, ratified just 4 weeks ago now. And still, Ukraine said, fuck you, just like to human rights, fuck you. And Canadians cheer that because you've been told by the media, who clearly can't even get anything right. I have every story by every major media company published where they lied all of you and they turn around and send mercenaries into Ukraine with no binding law of mercenary, none whatsoever. In fact, Canada, the UN state, didn't bind or sign it to begin with. So what the hell are Canadian politicians talking about? Your legislators who have never signed that treaty. It's a Ukraine treaty, and you can read all the countries in it. There's 46. None of the UNSC P5 signed it, which means you're subject to whatever Russia wants to do to you. You entered that, you're going to pay with your life. And the worst is how you're repatriated after your death. I'm sorry, these truths hurt. I tried to tell everybody the truth. Read my paper. It's not about who you side with. It's about telling you how it is. Stopping Canada, who 75% of the time will violate international law. 75% of the time. We can't even function in the world. What kind of loser track record is that? Failure rate of 75%? No wonder our economics are in the dump. No wonder the people are going down the toilet. No wonder so much autocracy. No wonder we're not even respected in any real way, shape, or form worldwide. I've screamed this out for years. A lot of people get in their narratives. They don't get it. They make it up. I went about my life to always be honest and truthful. No populism, no bullshit, no hiding from truth. Laying it all out in its entirety. The allies, all 5 of them, all of their UNSC reps know who I am. They've all gotten many letters. Even some of the formers friended me after their position was terminated and change of presidencies. I've made a difference in this world. As small, maybe as people want to believe that to be, it doesn't matter to me. It's about the idea of fixing my country, and that's what I'm going to do. And I urge every citizen in the world, take this paper, go do it yourself, because you can't rely on your state medias, can't rely on nothing. Getting the truth starts with applying those mathematics, brought forward to legality with the greatest source of economics in real statistical analysis. That formula gives a legal way to figure out a country, figure out your news sources. Use it, ladies and gentlemen. That's what it's for. It's the first one of its kind. And world powers are using it. Countries are using it all over. We can make the world a better place. But you know where it starts? It starts with fixing your country and realizing your country is broken. Your country propagates news, no different than anywhere else. How much of it they do is mathematically determined. And it's there for you. It's right in the title of this and in the paper. Read the Convention on Mercenaries. Learn the truth. Canadians who went there are never going to be repatriated. There's no respect for them. They have no international laws applying to them. None whatsoever. They're less than a human being. I'm sorry to tell you that. I wish people would listen. I wish people wouldn't do accusations. You're not going to find me in WEF. I've toured the world. I've taken on more billionaires live than anybody else because I know I'm there. I've been there for years. You never find any Canadian politicians there. You never find any experts from Canada. Canada sits on its own in its own little world, bestowed to the United Kingdom, the royal family. Read your constitution. Whatever the UK says, we do. Whatever USA wants through the UK, we do, whether USA realizes it or not. It's sad, it's sick, it's perverted. We should be vesting in our own supply and value chains. We should have real regionalism, like a real federation, like we're supposed to be. We should have provincial constitutions. We should be interprovincially trading. 90% of everything we produce and trade goes north and south, meaning USA straight up to the province or territory. There is no interprovincial trading, hardly none whatsoever. We're the most broken country in a massive world radius, besides those at complete civil war or under fierce dictatorship and have done gross, massive violations in international law. When are you going to change? When are you going to be the change for your country? Learn the truth. It's all in this title. Thank you, Rory Dreyer, an old friend. Thank you for sharing the Red Cross and mercenaries. Thank you for that, because it always helps me, ladies and gentlemen, when you give me things that you think is, and then I can go through and show you if it isn't, or what is, or even more than that, what isn't that, or isn't anything, and why Canadians died in Ukraine, and you're never going to hear about it. Thanks. That's my video. Bye now.